loaders, backhoes, excavators, and more. Reserve online at eaglerentals.com. That's eaglerentals.com.
Oh, yes! Woo-hoo-hoo, we made it! You made it to 5 o'clock. Oh, yeah, another day, another edition of the Scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone doing today? Hope we're all feeling good on this beautiful, absolutely beautiful Tuesday. I mean, you go outside and you're not sweating. That's really all you can ask for, right? There's not that much else that's better than not sweating when you go outside because it's not that hot out. It's a beautiful Tuesday. You're listening to the Scoreboard here on WSIC 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. If you have something on your mind that you'd like to talk about, I'm here for you. Yes, here for you, taking your comments, your concerns in the world of sports, anything on your mind. We're going to chat for the next, let's call it 53 minutes about the happenings in the world of sports. There wasn't that much to be had last night unless you're a baseball fan. We have a driver that we can hear from today as we preview the final two races of the regular season in the NASCAR Cup Series. Chris Buescher gave us some comments. We'll hear from him about his thoughts on Daytona and his thoughts on Darlington, as those are the final two races of the regular season. Man, it feels like we just started talking about NASCAR. It really does. But yet here we are. We just finished up Michigan, and it was a very good Michigan race, if you ask me. Definitely better than what I expected. We're also getting closer to the release of the 2025 NASCAR Cup schedule. There are some things being leaked out. We've seen a couple of instances here in NASCAR where a schedule has leaked. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that it is the schedule that the NASCAR Cup Series has for next year, but of that schedule leak, the Clash was correct. The Clash is not going to be at Daytona. They're not bringing it back for Speed Weeks. It is not going to be in the LA Coliseum again next year, which I personally believe is a win for NASCAR, but instead they'll be going up to Winston-Salem to race at Bowman Gray Stadium. A very, very interesting decision. There is, right now, on NASCAR's website, you have to sign up to join the wait list to get tickets to this event. And not only that, you got to put a $25 deposit down. Just one $25 deposit. Doesn't matter how many tickets you're looking for, but NASCAR is expecting this to be a sold-out event. I don't blame them because there's not the most seating in the world at Bowman Gray Stadium. But it's going to be interesting, you know, kind of like when they went back to North Wilkesboro a couple of years ago for the first time. I'd expect a packed stadium, a packed grandstands, people lining up trying to get in just to like sit on the grass or something like that. So that's going to be interesting. NASCAR announced that over the weekend. We really didn't spend too much time talking about Bowman Gray Stadium yesterday and the release of a little bit of that news. We'll get into that a little bit more today. I want to talk about the possible schedule that NASCAR has, and I'm not sitting here saying it's definitely what we have, but there are a lot of leaks. There are a lot of people in the know who think that we could have seen the 2025 schedule already appear in front of us. Also, Charlotte FC is back this weekend. Yes, we're not going to talk too much about them today. Their next game is going to be at home. It's going to be Saturday night, 7:30. You'll be able to listen to that game right here on WSIC, by the way. The game will begin broadcasting at 7. But Charlotte FC taking on the New York Red Bulls in this game. It's going to be their first game since they got eliminated from Leagues Cup earlier in the month. And, it's an interesting time. Not many games remaining for Charlotte FC on their schedule. From what I've seen, it looks like there's 12 games remaining in the regular season. And they're pretty well off right now in the playoffs. So we'll talk more about that. But more on that later, because right now, looks like we have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the scoreboard. How can I help you? Good afternoon. It's not morning anymore. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joe Berg.
Hey. How's it going?
Hey, doing well. Perfect segue there. You're talking about a little soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. I got to give out some props to a gentleman that's retiring this year, Mr. Anson Dorrance. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Tar Heel ladies soccer coach for 47 years, won 21 national titles, most of any college coach in any sport in the history of athletics. But just an incredible career. He's decided to call it quits, 73 years old, and so he's hanging it up. I think he's probably earned his due on being able to walk away.
Yeah, I'd agree. It says he was the coach there since 1979. That's a pretty good run.
Yeah. Yeah, you familiar with him, right?
A little bit.
Yeah. Coached Miss Mia Hamm, probably considered the GOAT of college women's soccer back in the day. She's around my age, played back in the early 90s when they won. I think maybe they won every year that she was there. They won the title. But anyway, just had to call in, give him props. You know me, the Tar Heel guy, got to brag about those. But just, even if he was a Duke guy or Tar Heel guy, State guy or anybody else, that's just incredible. 21, think of that, 21 national titles in 47 years. I know the women's soccer game's not as competitive as some of the other sports, but still, doing something right to be able to make that happen 21 times. So, but anyway, just had to give him a shout out.
Absolutely. Definitely an impressive feat. And not only that, but holding on to a head coaching gig since 1979. You got to change with the times quite a bit if you're going to hold on to that position. So great job there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, buddy. Well, I won't keep up your time, but just wanted to give him the shout out. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for giving us that information today. And a big congratulations to Anson. A great career as the head coach of the ladies soccer team down at Chapel Hill. 73 years young. And that's a run right there. Head coach since 1979 of the same program. Whew. It seems like if you're a football coach, you're lucky if you get 2 years. So congratulations on a great career for you, Anson, the head coach over at UNC Chapel Hill for the women's soccer team. We got a good show on tap for you. We're going to talk a little NASCAR, as I said. I have a little bit of NHL news that I want to talk about. It's a little weird. It's a story that I didn't expect to come across today, but it is coming across today. So we'll talk about that. We'll also get into some NFL news and Major League Baseball, because that is still going on. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back right after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, this really is our nicest stretch of weather in months around the Lake Norman area, and the next couple of mornings may have you thinking about pumpkin spice, apple spice, whatever your fancy is. Kind of an early little tease to fall. Drier weather, cooler weather, and much less humid weather. That's making the difference. Sunshine today as we warm back into the low and mid 80s. Cooling it off tonight into the upper 50s and low 60s. High temperatures only around 80 tomorrow for Wednesday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses. like top-notch gutters of Statesville.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree, Lake Norman, and Mooresville has free music this Thursday featuring a concert by Third Rail. Third Rail presents their high-energy show of rock and roll cover songs, while Langtree is open for food and drinks. Event time is 6:30 p.m., music begins at 7, and the Langtree shops off Exit 31 from I-77 are open all day. Grab your lawn chairs and enjoy Langtree Live this Thursday night with a free concert by Third Rail. Birkdale Village in Huntersville continues their Friday night Live Under the Oaks concert series with music from Dukes and Smith. The Dukes and Smith Band provides an energetic mix of pop, rock, country, R&B, and beach music. Come and enjoy all Birkdale Village has to offer with the free Dukes and Smith concert beginning at 6 p.m. Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Downtown Mooresville presents the Downtown Summer Sidewalk Sale this Saturday. Join locally owned businesses for hot sales. Come shop till you drop in downtown Mooresville on Saturday. Davidson presents Concerts on the Green Saturday. The Dave Matthews Tribute Band plays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the Davidson Village Green. Enjoy this free performance on Saturday night in downtown Davidson. On Saturday, September 7th, see the top riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and the 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement the moment the gates drop. The Super Motocross Fan Fest is a pre-race event taking place from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. where you can see the teams practice, prepare, and qualify for the playoff round and is included with your event ticket. Don't miss the biggest Super Motocross race of the year. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
24/7 worldwide, non-stop.
WSIC.
Local starts here. The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Gentlemen, we are back again here on the Scoreboard. 844 Studio 4 is the phone number if you want to be a part of the program. We're chatting for the next, I'm going to call it 41 minutes, 40 and a half minutes, somewhere around there. By the way, you WSIC fans, if you haven't heard the news, me and Patrick Reynolds, host of the Home Ad Show, are going to be at Micaiah's Bar in Mooresville later this evening. Starting at 8 o'clock, we're going to have some trivia down there. Yes, some trivia down at Micaiah's Bar. Me and Patrick Reynolds there hosting it. You are all welcome to come join, come have some fun with us. Now, it is trivia, and that means that you're going to have to answer some questions. You're probably going to beat me. If you already know, I am not a good superhero knowledge person. I have no idea anything. I've seen one Marvel movie, and I think it was the Avengers. The first one, the original Avengers. That's it. That's the only one I've seen. I don't know, man. People started cheering when I was in the audience. I was like, what are we cheering about? It's like when people clap when a plane lands. It's like, why are you cheering? What? It's a movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not in the know. Maybe I don't know. Call me up. Yell at me for my Marvel lack of knowledge. 844 Studio 4. I'm going to keep talking about the world of sports, though, because that is what I know. And what I know is we have a race coming up on Saturday this weekend. Yes, Saturday. No, not on Sunday. No. We go to Daytona this weekend. And it's going to be a fun one. So the NASCAR Cup Series is going to head to Daytona after a thrilling race at Michigan where we had a couple of overtimes. I don't know if I gave enough credit or lack thereof on the caution that NASCAR decided to throw with 6 laps to go at Michigan on Sunday. Anything to get a late race restart, right? Anything. Whatever we have to do. Make Stenhouse go wreck his car. Oh, Martin Truex Jr. got loose and got in the wall. Throw the caution quick before somebody gets hurt out there. And meanwhile, he kept going like nothing happened. I'm just saying. NASCAR loves those late race cautions. A place that we usually get late race cautions, yeah, that's Daytona. Now, I will say the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series are going to be at Daytona this weekend. The NASCAR Truck Series is going to be in action. Excuse me, as I choke on my own saliva in studio. Blech. The NASCAR Truck Series, the Craftsman Truck Series, if you will, is going to be in action, but they will not be at Daytona this weekend. They will be at the Milwaukee Mile for the Leuna 175. That's going to take place on Saturday. Now, something interesting, you're going to have 2 NASCAR races on Saturday. At 4:30, you're going to have multiple events Saturday. You won't have a truck race until Sunday. Things are a little bit backwards this weekend. I got it wrong the first time. Please forgive me. So let's go through this NASCAR weekend schedule, because before you know it, it's going to be Friday and we're going to be watching cars go around Daytona, one of the best tracks to ever be built in the world. 3 o'clock on Friday, you will have NASCAR Xfinity qualifying. Then at 5 o'clock, the NASCAR Cup Series will qualify. And at 7:30, you will have an Xfinity race. Now, you might say, wait just a second. I didn't hear you say practice. Well, that's because it doesn't seem like there is any practice this weekend for the Xfinity or the Cup drivers. It looks like they're just going to qualify and race. So you have Xfinity Friday night at 7:30. It's the Wawa 250 powered by Coca-Cola. Don't know how they got 2 sponsors in there. Good for them. Like, man, they got doubled up on the sponsors there. Then on Saturday, you're going to have practice and qualifying in Milwaukee for both the ARCA Menard Series and the Craftsman Truck Series. That's going to be Saturday during the day. Saturday night, 7:30, it's the Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona for the NASCAR Cup Series. That race is going to be on NBC. So if you have cable, if you have basic hookups, you're going to be able to watch this one on NBC. Then on Sunday, we're going to have more action. Yes, Saturday night is the Cup race, but we have more racing on Sunday. At 1 o'clock, you're going to have the ARCA Menard Series from the Milwaukee Mile. And then at 4 o'clock, you'll have the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at the Milwaukee Mile. So a little bit of a backwards schedule here this weekend. Usually you see the trucks and ARCA on Friday, Xfinity Saturday, Cup on Sunday. Well, this week it's going to be Xfinity on Friday, Cup on Sunday, ARCA and trucks on... Let me back up and make sure I got this information out there correctly for you guys. Friday is the Xfinity race from Daytona. Saturday is the NASCAR Cup Series race from Daytona. And then Sunday, we go to the lower ranks, the ARCA Menard Series, the Craftsman Truck Series. They will be racing at the Milwaukee Mile Sunday afternoon. Both of those, if you do want to watch them, they'll be on Fox Sports 1. So it's going to be on TV for you if you're interested in that. I want to bring up some comments here as we look towards Daytona from Chris Buescher. And we've talked about it before, how the Daytona 500 is not nearly the same as the spring or the fall or the summer, whatever season we're in for this second Daytona race of the year. Here is what Chris Buescher thinks the biggest difference between the summer Daytona race and the Daytona 500 in July is.
There's an amount of desperation that goes into it. Super Speedway racing is always a little unpredictable. There's always some luck involved. You got to be fast, got to make good decisions, but there's just this energy as we get to that final race and second to final this year, which I am a fan of. But it's going to get wild, and we know that. Ultimately, there's that factor there that you just can't control, and you try and do the best you can to be smart about it, to work with your spotter, and Herm does a great job to be really calculated in our decisions. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of energy, especially as it comes down to the end. It's like it's just like it exponentially builds through that race. It starts off, and everyone's like, all right, we know what we got to do. We got to get to the end. Well, 20 to go, and everyone gets a little anxious, and then all of a sudden 10 to go. It's like, all right, well, now it's time. And then all of a sudden it's 5 to go, and it's like, got to make something happen, and that usually leads to overtime. So it's just it's one that you expect some wild nights, and just control what we can.
How many overtimes are we expecting this weekend between Xfinity and Cup? Because you got to remember, and you got to keep this in mind with the NASCAR Xfinity Series specifically, they do not start the playoffs the same time that the Cup Series starts the playoffs. I know it is a little weird. I'm not a fan of that. I think everybody should be starting playoffs at the exact same time. But you have Daytona and then Darlington. Then the Cup Series begins their playoffs. But Xfinity still has Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol before we get to their first round of the playoffs, which is only a round of 12. So maybe the desperation isn't going to be as elevated in the Xfinity Series because they have so many races left before the playoffs begin. But a lot of these drivers are still going to be racing desperate. And you heard Chris Buescher talk about it just there. Desperation. Oh my goodness, I need to go make something happen. Some of the drivers that we don't usually see perform well at a 1.5 miles or a road course or any other track that isn't a draft track, I would expect them to really try to put on a show here at Daytona. Now, the thing about Xfinity, and you got to keep this in mind, it's very interesting. They go to Atlanta later this year as well. So Atlanta is one of those super speedway tracks where it's a draft. You have to stay in the pack. It's not the same as Daytona, but it does give those Xfinity drivers who aren't going to perform well at a place like Bristol or Watkins Glen or even Darlington coming up next weekend, it gives them another chance to maybe cool the desperation just a little bit as we get to Daytona. But I would expect the desperation level in Xfinity, in the Cup Series, to be really high because, man, this is one of your last chances to make the playoffs. This is the last chance where everybody really has a shot to win. So we're going to see what happens this weekend. I'm excited. Daytona and Talladega, two of the best tracks on the NASCAR schedule, always has action. And look, it's going to be even crazier this year with how few spots there are for the playoffs, how close that cut line is. We got a lot of previewing to do of Daytona this weekend. We'll hear from Chris Buescher again as we head through the week, but stay tuned. We'll get into the NFL on the other side of this break.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, this really is our nicest stretch of weather in months around the Lake Norman area, and the next couple of mornings may have you thinking about pumpkin spice, apple spice, whatever your fancy is. Kind of an early little tease to fall. Drier weather, cooler weather, and much less humid weather. That's making the difference. Sunshine today as we warm back into the low and mid 80s. Cooling it off tonight into the upper 50s and low 60s. High temperatures only around 80 tomorrow for Wednesday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
temperatures are heating up, but the prices are cooling down at Randy Marion Ford Lincoln here in Statesville. How about this? Over $8,000 off F-150s. That's the XLT trim, that's the Lariat trim, that's the Platinum trim, that's the Limited trim. That is the Crew Cab, that is the Super Cab. You name it, Randy Marion Ford. We got it right here in Statesville at a big discount on F-150s. Again, over $8,000 off. Come see us today, I-77, exit 49B.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? The people have spoken. Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
Hi, my name is Randy. I'm a general contractor, and I always trust the products at Desco Inc.
See for yourself at DescoInc.com.
At Bunch Johnson Funeral Home, our service to families is second to none. We're here for you when you need it most. Let us help you focus on healing. We'll handle the rest. Bunch Johnson Funeral Home.
Your Tuesdays just got a lot better. The Good Soul, a feel-good show that dives into the stories of extraordinary people, is headed to WSIC. Host Patty Alvarez brings a sit-down, fun conversation to the airwaves to give you an early week pick-me-up.
Hello, everyone. This is Joshua Doby, president of North Main Financial Group. At North Main Financial Group, we move to where you need us. Investment management, insurance planning, and estate strategies. No two people are the same, so we customize our planning based upon your needs. Reach out to us at northmainfinancial.com. That's northmainfinancial.com.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
Breaking news, expert analysis, and the stories that matter most, all in one place.
I totally acknowledge seeing flames is a scary situation.
WSIC News Talk Now.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. Successful coaches in sports learn from their peers and mentors, but they never try to be exactly like someone else. At the end of the day, each coach must simply be themselves. The truth is, God has uniquely designed each of us, and we thrive when we understand what it means to be ourselves. God has given us a specific role in His family and provides us with special gifts to accomplish His purposes. In Ephesians, it says, "For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." So we can't allow outside pressure to dictate our identity or who we are. As followers of Jesus, we are united with God. We are His children, and we are fully loved. Because of that, we can confidently be ourselves. Today, let's not feel less than or like we need to be anyone other than ourselves. Instead, let's remember to simply be you. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Paramount has already accepted a buyout offer from Skydance Media, but it has until tomorrow night to review other offers, and one has come in from the heir to the Seagram's liquor fortune. Edgar Bronfman has submitted a more than $4 billion bid to take control of Paramount Global and pay a breakup fee to Skydance. One holder of Paramount voting shares says the board should probably think about it. Sports is an advertising bonanza for streamers now. Reuters says Netflix snagged a more than 150% jump in upfront ad commitments for this year, and it can thank at least in part the NFL. The league has games that'll be shown on Netflix on Christmas Day. Netflix also secured partnerships for the Squid Game series and the upcoming Happy Gilmore 2 movie. On Wall Street, investors stopped short of extending the S&P's longest winning streak in 20 years, but only by about 0.2 to 0.3%. The Dow fell 62, the NASDAQ 60, the S&P 11. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
I should probably turn my microphone on. Hey, we're halfway through the scoreboard today. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. Keeping an eye on some high school sports action that we have. Men's soccer going on strong. I was looking into my old high school, Pine Lake. Looks like they started their year out with a nice win. Some of the schools in the area have already begun soccer. Some of them waiting for their first game of the year for later in the week. But most high schools in our area are going to be playing high school football this coming Friday. Yes, this coming Friday. I know, I understand. It's still August, but that's where we are. Not only does high school football resume, but college football starts on Saturday. Yes, Saturday, August 24th, which means in exactly, 4 days from now, right? 4 days from now, we're going to see high school, college football back in action. Starting at noon, you're going to see Florida State taking on Georgia Tech. Yes, I know it feels like we literally just ended the season. It feels like Michigan just got that national championship, but yet here we are. Another season in college football is about to begin. Does anybody know what the preseason rankings are right now? Well, I have them for you. I'm going to let you know. Your top 5: Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama, followed by Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and Florida State. I can't wait for the chaos of the playoffs, of the 12-team playoff and how it's going to go. Listen, you could have like 3 unranked schools win their conference championship game and somehow make the playoffs. That's just the way it is right now. It's weird. It's going to stay weird until we figure out a way to really make this more of a who is the best team rather than we're just going to throw some rankings up there, and if you win and you're ranked high enough, then you can go in. Which I'm still not a fan of the rankings, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. I know all the traditionalists out there are saying, what do you mean the rankings? That's college football. That's how it works. Well, it shouldn't be how it works. Just because that's how it's always worked doesn't mean that's how it's going to work in the future. And I don't believe it will. I think we are zooming to a place where college football is going to be played like the NFL. They're going to have a schedule. They're going to have divisions. They're going to have a playoff just like the NFL has it. And maybe throw in some relegation with maybe your A league only has 40 teams and then the rest of college football is in the B league. And if you have a good enough year in the B league and if you're bad enough in the A league, you flip-flop and get relegated and promoted. And I think that would be a lot of fun, personally. Add a lot of excitement to college football. Then you get to who should be promoted and is that going to be on rankings and whatever, the rankings of college football. But we do have college football on national television this coming Saturday, noon. It'll be Florida State on the road taking on Georgia Tech. How did Georgia Tech get to host Florida State? That's what I want to know. That's the reason is it's not actually being hosted by Georgia Tech. The reason is that game, Florida State and Georgia Tech, is in Dublin, Ireland. Yes, you heard me correctly. The first game of the college football season is going to be in Dublin. You probably already knew this. I believe Notre Dame played in Dublin last year for the opening game of the college football season. So Florida State and Georgia Tech open the season in Dublin. Right now, Florida State is a 11-point favorite, in case you're curious. Entertainment purposes only, obviously. Florida State only an 11-point favorite. That's interesting to me. The NFL season is going to be kicking off in a couple of weeks. We have one more preseason game for the Carolina Panthers as they are going to take on the Buffalo Bills up in Buffalo, New York. It should not be freezing cold, which will be nice for Carolina at least. But I don't think we're going to see Bryce Young. I don't. And I'm losing faith that we are going to see him. And I'm losing faith that we're going to be able to rebound from the type of season that we had last year. You need to play. And I'm going to sound like a broken record again. I know you're going to get mad at me for saying this over and over again. But Bryce Young needs to play. And if he gets hurt while playing, fine. I'll accept that. At least he was out there trying to, improve a little bit. Maybe learn the offense a little. Maybe learn the new players because it's not practice. But then again, it is only preseason. I really want to know what the general public thinks about this. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. What are your thoughts on Bryce Young and a lot of the starting offense not playing in the preseason? Like I said, I'm not a fan of it. I don't think that's how the team should be run. I think they need to get their reps in. They did not win enough games last year for the starters to prove that they deserve a break during preseason. What kind of break do you need? I mean, the season hasn't even started yet. Nonetheless, the Carolina Panthers are taking on the Bills this coming weekend. And it'll be their final preseason game. Saturday, 1 o'clock in Buffalo, taking on the Bills. Now, we talked a little bit about the news yesterday. Running back for the Carolina Panthers, who actually was the best player on the field for the Panthers over the weekend, Dylan Johnson, was cut from the team. They just have such a big number of running backs that they didn't really need him. And it's interesting, man. I'll tell you, the running back market, the world of the running back, I feel bad for those guys, man. They're just a dime a dozen nowadays. The only way that you're really going, and I mean really going to be a valuable running back nowadays, is if you play like a Christian McCaffrey, where you can catch passes out of the backfield. You can line up in the slot now and then. Maybe like a Deebo Samuel. Seems like the 49ers have plenty of those players. But Dylan Johnson yesterday was released from the team after rushing for 83 yards on 18 carries. It is what it is. Preseason football, man. The roster should be set here after the final preseason game. We will look into it, but I don't believe that we're going to see Bryce Young. And that's problematic for me. It is. Now, it is possible. Canales said, quote, I'm open to playing our guys this week. Same thing I told you after the game is true, though. We have to look at what does that group look like if we put everybody out there. Are there enough of those guys to say this is valuable for us to get those reps? What are we talking about here, Dave? Honestly. You're not going to have enough starters. Put the starters out there. And if some of them are hurt, put their backups in. Isn't that what you do during the season? Like if somebody gets hurt, you put the backup in? I just want to see some reps from Bryce Young because he's going to go out there week 1 in New Orleans and he's going to stink it up if he's not ready. And I'm not sitting here telling you he's not ready. I'm just afraid. I am. Who knows? We still got a couple of weeks before that happens. But one more segment on the scoreboard. Back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, this really is our nicest stretch of weather in months around the Lake Norman area, and the next couple of mornings may have you thinking about pumpkin spice, apple spice, whatever your fancy is. Kind of an early little tease to fall. Drier weather, cooler weather, and much less humid weather. That's making the difference. Sunshine today as we warm back into the low and mid 80s. Cooling it off tonight into the upper 50s and low 60s. High temperatures only around 80 tomorrow for Wednesday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree, Lake Norman, and Mooresville has free music this Thursday featuring a concert by Third Rail. Third Rail presents their high-energy show of rock and roll cover songs, while Langtree is open for food and drinks. Event time is 6:30 p.m., music begins at 7, and the Langtree shops off Exit 31 from I-77 are open all day. Grab your lawn chairs and enjoy Langtree Live this Thursday night with a free concert by Third Rail. Birkdale Village in Huntersville continues their Friday night Live Under the Oaks concert series with music from Dukes and Smith. The Dukes and Smith Band provides an energetic mix of pop, rock, country, R&B, and beach music. Come and enjoy all Birkdale Village has to offer with the free Dukes and Smith concert beginning at 6 p.m. Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Downtown Mooresville presents the Downtown Summer Sidewalk Sale this Saturday. Join locally owned businesses for hot sales. Come shop till you drop in downtown Mooresville on Saturday. Davidson presents Concerts on the Green Saturday. The Dave Matthews Tribute Band plays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the Davidson Village Green. Enjoy this free performance on Saturday night in downtown Davidson. On Saturday, September 7th, see the top riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and the 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement the moment the gates drop. The Super Motocross Fan Fest is a pre-race event taking place from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. where you can see the teams practice, prepare, and qualify for the playoff round and is included with your event ticket. Don't miss the biggest Super Motocross race of the year. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com or the CMS app for information and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
You know, one thing that I've been looking into recently is the WNBA. We've been talking about the WNBA a lot here on the Scoreboard. It's back. We actually have one of the biggest games in WNBA history taking place later tonight. Yeah, you heard me correctly. The LA Sparks and the Connecticut Sun are going to be matching up against each other at 7 o'clock tonight. The reason this is a big deal is this game is going to be in TD Garden, home of the Celtics. So for the first time ever, we'll have WNBA basketball in TD Garden. Pretty interesting. You're listening to the Scoreboard, 844-788-3464. That's 844-788-3464. You know, I was looking at the WNBA standings and starting to get a feel for what the playoffs are going to look like. By the way, if you didn't already know, the top 8 teams in the WNBA make the playoffs. No matter what your conference is, it's just the top 8 teams make the playoffs. Right now, that would be the cutoff would be at Chicago. Indiana, by the way, would be in, as Caitlin Clark has that team just under 500, 13-15 right now. We got a month left of the WNBA season. I know you probably didn't expect all that much WNBA talk today, but there is a big game. It's a monumental game as the WNBA takes place in TD Garden, and this game is sold out, by the way. So if you thought that the WNBA was going to go away once they came back from their break, as college football ramps up, as the NFL ramps up, NASCAR gets into their playoffs, no, the WNBA is not going anywhere. One thing, though, that I wish they would tweak is the first round of the playoffs. Now, the first round is your typical 1 verse 8, 2 verse 7, 3 verse 5, whatever, verse 6, and so on. The thing is, the format is a 2-1 format, which means the first 2 games of the series are at the home team with the better record. And the final game, if there is a game 3, is a home game for the team with the worst record. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about the team with the worst record being the home game for an elimination game. I don't know how they can fix that, at least not in the immediate future. You would have to completely change the format, or you could just make it a 5-game series instead of a 3-game series and add an extra game in the finals and make that a 7-game series. Because right now it's 3-game series and the rest are 5. There is no 7-game series in the WNBA. They're all 5-game series, except for that first round, which is a 3-game series. Just a little something I noticed. I wish maybe they'd fix that just a little bit. Just a little bit. The New York Liberty, Connecticut Sun, Minnesota Lynx, Las Vegas Aces, Seattle Storm, Phoenix Mercury, Indiana Fever, and Chicago Sky are your current playoff teams. Now, I think that's going to remain your playoff teams, as the drop-off from the Chicago Sky to the Atlanta Dream is a few games here, but you never know. There's plenty of time left. Somebody could come out of nowhere. I'm surprised LA has not been better. But the New York Liberty, atop the standings, they have already clinched a playoff spot. The MLB season continues on. You know, there's really not that much huge news that breaks in the MLB in the course of a year. But this is pretty big, especially for baseball fans in this area. I'm assuming most of you are Braves fans, as that is the closest professional baseball team to us. With Austin Riley going on the injured reserve list, the Atlanta Braves had decided to sign Gio Urshela, a utility infielder. I guess he could play the outfield as well, but Urshela is a guy that can pretty much play anywhere that you put him. So that's pretty good for them, I guess. They're going to make a splash in a free agent market here, with Austin Riley being sidelined for quite some time. Riley was hitting .256, 19 home runs this year. That's a pretty good year. Pretty good year for him. He's not the best hitter in the world. You know, he's not going to hit 300. He's not going to have an OPS of 900. But he is a solid player, and especially solid defensively. So that is a big loss for the Braves, but a good addition to get Gio Urshela on the squad. The Braves, though, they're not in a good position, as they sit 7 games back of the Phillies currently in the NL West. They're also a game and a half ahead of the Mets in the wild card. Now, the Braves do currently hold on to that final wild card spot. It's the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves in the wild card. But the Mets are only a game and a half back. You have the San Francisco Giants 3.5 back. Cardinals, Cubs, and Reds all sitting 5.5 games back. So not quite comfortable in that wild card spot. But, you know, adding a player to replace Austin Riley, definitely something that they needed to do. I told you I had a little NHL news for you here. This is an interesting one. Ryan Johansson, if you know who that is, he's a player. He was playing in Nashville for quite some time, signed a huge contract with them. It's about 8 years, $64 million contract or so, somewhere around that area. Well, apparently there is a grievance that is going to be filed, because it was announced earlier today by the Philadelphia Flyers that they would be releasing Johansson. And they claimed that there was a breach of contract. So actually, I'm going to sit down and explain this one to you because it was a little confusing to me as well. The Flyers placed Johansson on unconditional waivers for the purpose of terminating his contract due to a material breach. Flyers had no further comment on it. The Flyers initially placed Johansson on waivers on the same day that he was traded to Philadelphia from the Avalanche, by the way. He was with the Avalanche at the time. And tried to reassign him to the American Hockey League, but they were unable to do so because he was injured. Now, apparently, according to an email, the NHLPA said the Philadelphia Flyers' actions raise significant concerns. We are currently reviewing the matter. The Flyers are claiming that they didn't know he was injured when they traded for him and that this is an injury that just kind of came about as they were trying to reassign him to the AHL, which, if you just look at it, that is concerning. That player said, yeah, I'm hurt, so I can't be moved to the AHL. Well, you don't want players making up the fact that they're hurt just so that they don't get moved to the American Hockey League. It was said that he was hurt. He claimed to be injured when they traded for him. He saw doctors, and they did find an injury. You can't send down a player that's injured, so he's going to be doing rehab until, well, they don't know. This is significant because the Flyers are on a $4 million leash for Johansson's contract. It was $8 million, but when it got traded, the Flyers decided to hold on to half of that contract. This is interesting, and I'm going to be curious to see how the NHL and the NHLPA determine whether or not he was injured at the time of trade, at the time of putting him down on waivers, versus him just saying, oh yeah, by the way, I have an injury. So that's going to be one that you're going to want to keep an eye on in the hockey world. The NHL doesn't start for a few more months here, but I'm excited for the NHL season. I'm always excited for the NHL season. We are at the end of the program. On this day in 1985, the first NL pitcher to strike out 200-plus batters in their first 2 seasons happened today. That would be pitcher Dwight Gooden. He also struck out 16 on this day in that game where he got his 200th. 1991, Dan Marino surpasses Joe Montana as the highest paid NFL player with a 5-year extension worth $25 million. Ha! 1991, $25 million over 5 years. Whew. It's not like that anymore. No, it is not. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into the Scoreboard on this day. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, same place, chatting about the world of sports. We'll be previewing the NASCAR Cup Series coming up on Saturday, the Xfinity race on Friday, Daytona. It's going to be a fun one. We'll also get you set for the MLS season to resume for Charlotte FC and the final preseason game for the Carolina Panthers. Maybe I won't have a prediction for you on their season just yet. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Until then, have a good night, everyone.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9, 100.7. WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.